Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to another live stream of Hearthstone. Today is Wednesday, March 27th. Let's just jump in here and make sure the expansion hasn't happened. I feel like I've said, well, this expansion might come out at any point, and it seems like, unless it happened tomorrow on Thursday, since it's not happening today, it seems like we're probably good for at least until next Tuesday, and I think we're probably several weeks earlier than what this should be. Although that being said, they said on the shop that you would be able to open these before April 30th, so like it could be any point next month that the new expansion comes out, and they're just stringing us along quite a bit. Let's see, what do I want to do? Get rid of the wins. That'll be easier. No it isn't. Now we have to win 3 games with the Rogue Warrior. And we've got Tavern Brawls to do. I have nothing to report as far as doing anything. I took yesterday off, and I'm in a weird position because I kind of need to schedule things, and I'm in also this weird funk where I really don't have a clue until I have things scheduled what I want to play next. So there's not even anything really itching in the back of my head to be like, oh, this is the next game I want to play. I have plenty of games, of course, but that's pretty much it. So this Tavern Brawls, construct a deck from only cards from Journey to Ungoro, Knights of the Frozen Throne, and Kobolds and Catacombs. Alright, so the easiest thing I think to do here would be choose Rogue or Warrior. Let's go with Rogue. And, well, you know, I might play 12 Taunt Minions if I go with Warrior, so let's try Warrior. But we also have to win. So, Warrior, and then just say, complete my deck for me. Just let it pick. And that's the easiest thing to do. And now that to complete my deck, for the most part, is of a collection of cards that are somewhat useful and pretty good, there's really no reason to agonize over building your own decks at all, or basically ever build your own decks. In a weird way, they've come extremely close to making it completely unimportant to build your own decks and taking that whole aspect out of the game. But they let that happen by just not having enough variety in their cards, frankly, and putting too many things into Wild. We would have, I would guess, we would have no top tier meta decks that you could just play if every card that has ever been created for Hearthstone was still playable in Standard. It would just be too crazy, too weird, there'd be too many different strategies, and it would really require a lot of work. Let's just end the turn here and save the coin. So yeah, that whole aspect, I guess, is just gone forever. Let's see. I could play this, but there's really no reason. Could play this, just parody him. So yeah, I didn't play any games. I haven't done anything. There is a decent number of games that came out today, and there's a decent number of bits of news. As far as I can tell, there was no larger element to the like no larger element to the Sony State of Play. I've seen no new news reports on it at all or anything like that. It seems like that that was that we reported last stream. So let's just go through the news and have some streams, and maybe if I finish early I'll feel like I am energized enough to schedule some videos after that point. Let's see. Let's play that. Okay. So our first bit of news is from Gamatsu. World War Z adds a Tokyo map. Core game expands to 4 episodes. World War Z, I believe, is a DayZ clone, isn't it? Or is it not? Well, apparently World War Z hasn't come out for anything yet, so it's due out for the PS4, Xbox One, and PC on April 16th. I imagine it's not going to be any major success. The weird thing is, right now, I doubt that there's too many people that that have time to want to play a what looks like an MMO zombie game. And maybe it's not an MMO, maybe it's a single player, maybe it's just a 4-player co-op game, but when you compare that to what's going on right now with Fortnite and PUBG and Apex Legends, and there might be some people playing Destiny and Anthem, and there might be some people playing The Division. It seems like, at least in the past couple days, everybody's been playing Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, which is a even more difficult Dark Souls style game. Like the idea of, hey, this is just your standard zombie game that everybody has seen a million times over, it's not likely that would happen. Like, it's just not likely. We are going into the summer, and summer is something of a big time for games to come out. Like, you're gonna have kids and people in school getting out of school. You're going to have some free time there. You're gonna have particularly with global climate change, or it being pretty difficult to go outside and do anything. We just started in spring in the United States, and I was outside and I'm like, oh my god, this is like the first day of spring, and it's already way too hot for the first day of spring. So I imagine extremely high temperatures are just the new norm. And yes, some people will probably try to go outside and play, but it will be less and less. So yeah, I imagine we are somewhat lined up to see a lot of games come out, same as 2018, which will continue the trend of games games that I could almost win with this. Interesting. So if I can just build up the armor a little bit more and get rid of this guy, 2 hits would get me so close.
What do you ask of me?
So yeah, we're about to have PAX. I probably buried the lead a little bit to say, to forget to mention that tomorrow Borderlands 3 is gonna have a live stream. So there's something big on the edge of being done. Let's see.
Reality breaks.
There we go. So yeah, there's something I suppose to be said about what will get announced. Like the Borderlands 3, it's gonna heavily rely on whether or not it's an Epic exclusive or not, because that is the fear right now. That is the 100% fear, is that this is just going to be a complete and total Epic exclusive, and then if that's the case, a lot of people are potentially not going to play it, which could be a problem for Borderlands, or might not be an issue at all, because there very possibly will be a large enough fan base in the Borderlands series that enough people get in it and play it, and you really only need 4 friends, and frankly playing with random people is probably not even the experience you want to have. There are many other fears about Borderlands 3 as far as just what is the level of quality of that game, and what is the feel you're gonna have with that game, because a lot of time has passed, a lot of things have changed.
There is a method to my madness.
It feels to me also, I'm totally out of whack as far as schedules, so without having anything looking at a calendar, I guess I do have a calendar that auto populates this kind of information from OpenCritic, but without having looked at the calendar, it feels to me like there's definitely in the next week going to be a PAX. One of the PAXs is going to happen either, or is happening right now, and then that in the next 3 weeks we're going to start E3, which doesn't fully feel right, because it feels like it was only 6 months ago that we did another E3, and E3 only happens once a year, so I don't know if maybe it was actually a year ago that E3 happened. But yeah, there's seems like a lot of stuff is happening really fast, and it feels to me like there will be a lot of games coming out on a daily and weekly basis, probably till the end of the year, if not longer, and it won't be until January of 2020 until we get back into a real slow point. Alright.
For me!
Hit this. And this. And then hit this, I guess.
Job done.
Well, I'm gonna lose.
There is a method to my madness.
Moving on, we have a game on Steam here called Nova Drift that's just an asteroids game. It looks like it has a little bit more polish on it than most of the Asteroids clone games. Wow. I'm either feeling very generous today, or something else, but I'm willing to put this on the fall list because it looks like it has some polish to it, even though I know I hate Asteroids games. Let's see if we can see a reason in particular. There's different fighting here. Yeah, it looks like it's a bullet hell Asteroids game. I'm just watching the entire trailer here as I'm losing. 3 of 12 taunt minions were played, so we'll try again. You know what? Nova Drift looks good, and I'll just say it looks good, but it's still really not the kind of game I want to play. It's $14.99 right now with no discount. That's a pretty high price too. So I won't put it on the fall list, but I'll give it a shout out. That's I guess the best I can do. Next we have a game on Steam called Collider, which looks like it's a low effort pixel snake style game as far as I can tell, or maybe it's just boxes on a platforming aspect. Yeah, it looks like you're more just platforming and jumping. It's $1.19. Yeah, nothing there of interest. It looks incredibly boring and incredibly badly made. Speaking of badly made, I think that's a fair comparison here. We have A Maze Easter from Blender Games, who are intent on flooding Steam with variants of their same game over and over again. A Maze Easter is discounted for 74 cents. I don't know, like, it comes down to the question, would Valve really win the favor of other publishers and other developers if they were to say, Blender Games, get off our platform, because you are technically violating our rules of just selling the same game over and over again? Because they sort of are and they sort of aren't. Like, what Steam doesn't want you to do is make the exact same game with the exact same levels and sell it under different names on Steam. They don't really care in A Maze's case, where they're making different levels, or at least it seems like they're making different levels, and then using those different levels to make a series of low effort games. So since the mazes are different in every game, I assume they are, that they're falling within the lines. But what that has the knock-on effect of is that there are like 30 A Maze games on Steam. The question I suppose to ask next would be, are all of those A Maze games getting seen by anybody, or are they just on Steam and being suggested only to people who really like A Maze games, or Maze games in general? That it's possible that it's not really showing up in anybody's discovery queue, and it's also very possible that discovery queues are pointless things that don't matter. Moving on, Gematsu has an article over here. Snow Battle Princess Sayuki is coming to the PS4 on April 4th in Japan. This looks like it's probably a not that interesting digital game. I wouldn't be surprised. It was first released for the PlayStation 2 in 2008 in Japan, followed by Switch via the eShop in December 2018, and PC worldwide. Switch version will be released in the West on March 28th. So let's go over to their Steam page and see if there's something here. Gain 5 armor, gain 10 more armor. So, Snow Battle Princess Sayuki seems to be kind of a fast-paced top-down shooter in a Japanese aesthetic to fight enemies. It looks like it's a little bit more of a combo score-based game, kind of like a Warriors game if you were gonna make a top-down 8-bit game here. What's interesting is this came out March 26, 2019. It has no reviews, so I can put this on the follow list. Seems like it's been released to a lot of different platforms, but it wants $14.99, so that's a pretty high price that they're asking for. Alright, spend all of my armor and deal that much damage to all minions. Or do this.
Warriors of the frozen
wastes. This is slightly big news for fans of lewd game series Senran Kagura. Kenichiro Takaki, let me just show his name. Kenichiro Takaki leaves Marvelous, remains the producer of the Senran Kagura series. Takaki to take on new ventures after 13 years at Marvelous. This is a new trend to me, at least, as far as Japanese people really being willing to leave a company. Like, usually what you'll find is that even under the worst working conditions, Japanese have this sense of devotion that is for life. There have been issues, and I don't know if this is particularly, if it was really issues though between Marvelous and its employee, as much as it was issues with Sony censoring a lot of their games. And so perhaps what this came down to is Marvelous Entertainment as a corporation could not be disloyal to, did not want to be insulting or disloyal to Sony, so Marvelous Entertainment as an entity has to continue to make games for Sony. However, the producer can then, who was probably, I would guess, a big part of Marvelous Entertainment, and all the skilled staff, I suspect, will just slowly move over to a new company that has no already established relationship with Sony, and then you'll start seeing them make either PC or more likely Switch exclusive styles of games. That could be what's going on here. The article goes on, Senran Kagura series producer Kenichiro Takaki has left Marvelous to set sail on a new voyage, but he will continue to work as the, quote, huge boobs producer of titles like Senran Kagura, the latest issue of Weekly Famitsu reveals. Takaki, who earned the, quote, huge boobs producer nickname due to his hand in games like Senran Kagura, worked for Marvelous for 13 years. In March 2017, Takaki was placed in charge of his own subsidiary called Honey Parade Games. And so I don't know if that means that he's going to work for Honey Parade's games, or if he's moved away from that too. A lot of this might mean nothing, actually. We've got plenty of armor, but can we get more armor?
What now?
Yes, we can.
Well played. I must choose.
Can't attack heroes. Darn it! What a terrible, terrible weapon. Can't attack heroes, but it can do massive amounts of damage. The March 28th issue of Weekly Famitsu. So in a couple days we'll get the full interview regarding his resignation, including the reason he left, the future of the Senran Kagura series, and his plan for new ventures and a new multimedia project in the work for Marvelous. There's an update here. First tidbits have come out in the Weekly Famitsu.
Not
According to the magazine, Takaki's biggest reasons for leaving Marvelous were restrictions on the depiction of sexual content. He felt that a thread had snapped within him. He said that while sexual content is often criticized, there are many that enjoy it. Takaki believed that such variation was one of the things that supported the game industry, but when it was so easily broken, it made him think about various things. Takaki welcomes restrictions and regulations that protect specific scopes and genres. However, he feels the recent trend will definitely have a chilling effect. So it is 100% the censorship, and I guess maybe Marvelous was just going along with Sony censorship. Or maybe Marvelous was doing its own level of censorship. Takaki wants to make traditional fantasy-esque games like the games he went crazy for as a kid. He is now at Cygames, CYGAMES, working on console titles. Takaki will properly finish up his work on his currently in production titles, Senran Kagura 7, however, will take some time. While the base of the game will not change, Takaki is working on parts that must be changed. After that, either he or someone else will complete and deliver it to the fans. They're taking their exotic gags more seriously than ever before. They're taking their erotic gags more serious than ever before. Takaki will cooperate with existing staff on Senran Kagura while leaving the adjustments to Marvelous internally and continuing his existence as the quote huge boobs producer. So I mean, this was a big thing to him. Like, this isn't just, oh, it's nothing, it didn't matter. That this was his passion, for better or worse. Let's see. Let's take this guy out. So yeah, it continues. Takaki is also working on a new multimedia project published by Marvelous that involves both a game and an anime. Character designed by Hanaharu Naruko, and the anime is directed by Hiraku Kaneko. And none of these names sound familiar to me, but frankly, I would not be the type of person to know. Let's suppose hit this for 1 and then hit that.
Not quite what was planned.
Let's see.
I will be
the game and anime series is unrelated to the Senran and Kagura series. There will be beautiful girls, but unlike Takaki's previous games, they will remain clothed. It'll be an orthodox style and fervorous game. Development started about 1.5 years ago. And then the image in the weekly Famitsu shows a girl riding something that looks like a motorcycle. According to Takaki, he wants to show something that will make people say he made something amazing, even though he's the Opie producer with What's Sass. Opie being the Japanese word for boobs. I think boobs in general, I don't think it specifically is any size of boobs as a director.
Well played.
Let's see, the next paragraph, there's a quote, even if my place of work or the nature of my titles changes, what I show won't change, and I don't want it to, Takaki says. I am a game fan at heart. I tell dirty jokes and make irresponsible comments, and then he laughs in parentheses. But I'll work my hardest to make games. It is unknown at this time, the article continues, whether this title has any connection to side games. So, yeah. There's a big change there. A very big change for a Japanese developer. And all having to do, I think, in part, if not completely, with the fact that Sony of Japan moved their headquarters, Sony Interactive Entertainment moved their headquarters to California, and the California SJWs there initiated what is probably the most audience-deaf policies ever. Because this is totally the level of censorship that's happening on not just games like Senran and Kagura, but censorship happening on things like Devil May Cry 5 that just came out. Whereas the exact same games are coming out uncensored on the Nintendo platform and the Microsoft platform. It has just gone ridiculously insane as far as what they have implemented, and it's likely to only get worse before it gets better. But on the other hand, maybe this is a good thing. Maybe this is just the end of the Sony. If you were thinking about buying the next PlayStation, I would heavily suggest against it, because if the Japanese mentality is very much about fads and following the herd, and so if other developers who don't make adult games start saying that the developers who do make adult games stop making Sony games, then everybody will stop eventually making Sony games. And I think that is a very likely possibility that the next generation will be smartphones and Switches as far as consoles available in Japan. I wouldn't go as crazy as to say that the Microsoft Xbox is going to start becoming popular in Japan. It might become a little bit popular, but not really. but I think there may just be no console that's particularly popular in Japan, and they will move to a PC world. The one thing that was stopping a lot of people from being PC oriented in Japan was the fact that PCs were big. PCs aren't that big anymore, so that problem can be solved. So I imagine they still wouldn't have full tower computers in their houses, but they very well may start seeing more laptops in houses. Also, we might start to see more pachinko style arcades get converted over to gaming centers, which have been popular in Japan, well, in Asia for a while now. So I wouldn't be surprised if we did start seeing more of that too. Unfortunately, this is just one small story in a river of a story that's going to continue going for a while here. Sony's state of play certainly didn't help anything, and that is kind of all the same story. We're in the downfall, it seems to me, of Sony Entertainment and Sony as a video game company. And it's just going to take a really long time for that to fully happen. I don't know if there's much I can do. I can do this, this, and this.
You cannot.
That's kind of all I have to. I can do.
Thank you.
Moving on, we have an article from Gematsu. We're getting a lot of articles from Gematsu. Where's my mouse? Let's move it over here. Grand Blue Fantasy Relink is in development with the same number of staff as when it was co-developed by Platinum Games. This was Platinum Games apparently were no longer involved in Grand Blue Fantasy. I've heard of Grand Blue Fantasy as a series, but I really don't know anything. It's in development for the PS4. Release date is yet to be announced, but saying it has the same number of staff as when Platinum was co-developing it means that the development team that is, well, it's actually Cygames again. Interesting. So these are both from the Famitsu article, so I imagine Famitsu just had an interview with Cygames and interviewed several different people in that positions. So that means Cygames has added and replaced all the number of staff that Platinum Games left. I don't know if maybe that puts Platinum Games in a bad light though, because I imagine Platinum Games is just working on like a new Nier Automata or something like that. Something that they're probably more directly related to and connected to. So that is really a wait and see, and we'll see whether the game is better or worse, or seems like it was affected at all by those kinds of changes.
I'm warning you. I'm unstable.
Platinum Games has been developing a closer and closer relationship with Nintendo, so it might just have been that Nintendo gave them work so that they would stop making a PlayStation exclusive game. And we're definitely in probably the earlier point, the earlier half of the end of PlayStation, because there still are a lot of games that are getting announced for PlayStation, but very few that are only PlayStation. Most of them now are PlayStation and Switch, or PlayStation and PC, or PlayStation and Switch and everything else. And I don't suspect over the course of the next year or anything we'll start seeing too many games that are PlayStation and Switch and Xbox and Google Stadia and Google and Amazon Arcade, which it turns out that Amazon Arcade is a subscription service, and I may have a little bit more information about it now.
I'm out of cards.
With it being a subscription service, that might change the calculation a little bit, but I'm probably not by much. It still feels like there aren't too many games on it to be hyped up about. But I guess that's better than Amazon getting paid exclusives. Because if they did just pay a lot of money for paid exclusives that could only be played on Apple products, that would be annoying. Next we have a game on Steam here called Gadgeteer. This looks like it is a VR version of a Dominoes game. It doesn't look terrible, but yeah. Does it require VR? I don't know. It says it's coming soon, apparently. So let's not put this on the follow list until it's actually out. All blue dominoes are kind of ugly. I would want to see that fixed pretty quickly. But the general idea of a marble, I guess it's more of a marble machine as it is a dominoes thing. It's like half dominoes, half marble. I do have more health than this guy does, but he can just, unless I could kill all these people. There's not a lot I could do here. Yeah, unless this guy just decides to stop attacking. There's nothing I can do here. Next we have a game on Steam called Nihon Go Toki. Says it's a casual indie game. Helps you learn Japanese by turning boring studies into a fun game, memorizing different things. This looks like it's a programming game from the look of it. Memorizing the alphabet has never been so fun. This is probably, if I was to guess, a low effort, oh, we'll teach you Japanese. Again, every time I see one of these, learning to read Japanese, not useful at all. Yeah, it's not a programming game. It's just that this trailer is showing some of the showing some pseudo programming code, not real programming code, fake programming code. $14.99, English only in the interface. Not even the right market there. If you are gonna make a learn Japanese game, it should also support Japanese as a language, because heck, you might sucker some kids in Japan into playing these games and learning something a little bit better. But yeah, learning to read Japanese, pretty useless. You need to know how to speak it. So unless you already are fairly, like, verbally fluent in Japanese, these games don't even begin to start to make sense, and none of them look that good. Moving on, we have a game on Steam called Jungle Adventures. That's a extremely undescriptive, low-effort title, in my opinion. This doesn't look terrible, but it does kind of just look like it's an asset flip or an experiment in a VR game. This thumbnail looks very, very anime when the art style here does not look anime at all. and so that is questionable. Yeah, this seems like it's probably a VR platformer shooter game. Requires VR, $9.99, single player only. So it is kind of like a platformer shooter game. I think it's probably a mistake in any VR game to just give a player two guns. Like, that's silly. You don't need that. It's a VR first-person shooter game. It looks to me like probably they bought a lot of assets here. There's a little bit more polish, but there's clearly a low-effort title, a low-effort thumbnail that doesn't match anything. They want $9.99, which is probably about $3 too cheap for a game like this. And the gameplay looks like it's kind of randomly generated and pretty boring. I may have to exit out because I think we're stuck here on an infinite spinning wheel. It's not that, like, my internet's messed up, so let me just exit out and launch back in. Meanwhile, while that's launching, we have another game on Steam called Gawk, I assume is how that's pronounced, G-O-K. Let's see. Gawk of Kingdom, it's an adventure warrior of 3 kingdoms on forgotten territory. Let's see. It looks like it's probably just fighting, maybe a dungeon crawler game. Early access for $8.99. Seems like all the cutscene is just watching a guy walk across a platform. So here you have an example of a trailer that has no intention whatsoever of actually showing you what the game is. Here you have a poorly described and formatted comment. He's trying to put bolds and italics in there, which I don't think is even allowed in Steam. Here you have what seems to be Russian. It says English and Russian. So yeah, I would assume that this is a low-effort Russian game. I wouldn't particularly call it a Russian troll game, but just a low-effort Russian game. Alright. Let's get back in here and try this one more time. Game of Citra has an article. EA closes its Japan and Russia offices amid mass layoffs. Now, mass layoffs are a matter of opinion. They laid off 350 staff members across all of their organization, and that is a lot. I guess maybe that is mass layoffs, but it is worth mentioning that EA has like 10,000 employees, so well, I mean, even at that, you're talking not like 3% of your workforce about there, so just a rough number. So yeah, EA having a Japanese office and a Russian office probably wasn't helping them much anyways. Because let's face it, EA's 5 games that they released are not particularly Russia-centric or Japanese-centric. The marketing, publishing, and operations departments were the hardest hit in the layoffs. So, does EA, for the games they make, really need a Russian office or a Japanese office to promote FIFA and Battlefront and Battlefield and like NBA 2K? Because that's really all they have, is about four games, 2 of which are sports games that are going to either sell well or sell badly just based on the region. regardless of the advertisement and the marketing and publishing. And then you have 2 shooter games that probably aren't going to sell as well as they would like anyways. This is probably the type of action that will be taken this month, and then next month the president of EA will give himself a bonus of more money than what they saved by the layoffs. And inherently, you can blame the top management of EA for their terrible bad practices, but a lot of it does have to fall directly on the fact that this is just capitalism in a nutshell. This is what happens when you let people, shareholders, own a company. And I would like to see an experiment at the very least. And I don't know if you even really need to experiment with this, but to be generous, I would like to see an experiment where a company like EA was said, no, you're too big, we're breaking you up into like 5 different, well, let's say 4 different private companies with no shareholders, and see how those companies are run. Whether that is a better or worse scenario for society in general and the employees that work there. Because a lot of the layoffs, almost all the layoffs at EA are based on just trying to manipulate shareholder price, stock price, versus a need for actual cash or a need to actually reduce employee count because you've got nothing that you can do with them.
Job's done.
Moving on, we have a game on Steam called Windscape. It says you play as a young girl living on your parents' farm set totally blah. What does this say? Indie first person action RPG, action adventure RPG. Looks like you're on a farm and then you're gonna do some dungeon crawling and maybe some dragon slaying and some survival Minecraft stuff. I don't know how much of a game there really is here, but it is rated very positively. So I don't know about whether I would even be willing to do Minecraft stuff nowadays, even if it was just this is your tutorial section. This might very well just be an infinitely going forward Minecraft concept. $15.99 discounted right now, and it's from Head Up Games, which, let's see, Head Up Games, I could have sworn I know them from something, but I don't recognize any of these games at all. The developer is Magic Sandbox. Head Up Games made the Texorcist and Bridge Constructor Portal. Maybe that's where I heard their name last, is because from the game The Texorcist as a publisher. They've got a lot of games here. A lot of them, though, I don't recognize. And then Magic Sandbox. Well, with these new things, you can't even see what Magic Sandbox actually made. Windscape, I think, deserves a follow. They've left early access, and so they were probably early access up until this point. and we'll give it some time and see. I suppose there is a point where you do have to say, well, now that this is out of early access, maybe there will be a different feeling, because it's possible that they've left early access and not really finished a lot of the problems that people complained about, or it's possible that they've left early access and fixed everything and now you have a complete game that's actually worth playing. Moving on, Gematsu has an article. Dragon Quest 11S introduces the latest Japanese voice actors, additional new features, and DLC, quote, voice drama, plus plenty of new gameplay footage. So the latest voice actors means they've just given a name to more characters, voice actors. Let's see. Dragon Quest 11S is, I believe, the Switch version. Well, we got one daily quest then. Warrior's not working. Let's try Rogue. Now, delete that. And give me a Rogue deck. And just build this. We're kind of back to annoying tavern brawls that take forever. So it seems like several improvements for this new version. For this new Switch version. Of course, it still doesn't really feel like Dragon Quest 11S is too much different than what you could get for Dragon Quest 11 for the PS4 or PC, and also the 3DS in Japan. So I wouldn't be super upset or feel like you really need to play that game on the Switch. On the other hand, since it is a JRPG, having the mobility of the Switch, which one assumes you will always have on the Switch, even though they are potentially gonna hit a point where they might release a Switch that is docked only. That's a rumor, but no real evidence to that. Having that mobility while playing a JRPG would be very helpful. Let's see.
I'm warning you. I'm unstable.
So we can point this out. Here's Borderlands.com with this mask trailer that they've put out. Tune in to the Gearbox panel March 28th, 2 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, or 6 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, or 5 a.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time. Is that what that is? So I suspect heavily there will be a real announcement for Borderlands 3 here. But I think a lot of the other things that they were teasing and saying as far as games coming to PAX are not going to be real announcements. Or if they are real announcements, they're not going to be super interesting announcements.
The future is ours.
What does this one say? Play the rightmost card in your hand? So, if I do this, I'll draw a card.
Behold the tools of creation. Return to nothing.
So yeah. In the end, I suspect we won't be seeing a lot of Borderlands 3. We'll probably get a location. We'll probably get a list of 3 to 6 playable characters.
I'm warning you. I'm unstable.
Behold the tools of creation.
And yeah, I don't know if there's.
Return to nothing.
I really don't think that there's much else that's going to be happening as far as that. Like, we might get some more upsell about how there will be a bazillion guns, or bazillion upon a bazillion guns, and we might get some indications of new types of enemies. My guess from the trailer, with everything being shown in white statues and having some heavy angel themes to it, is that the growing jokish cult that has been around, particularly in Borderlands 2, there's always a quest called the Cult of the Vault, where you have to find the vault symbol, and psychos have the vault symbol on their face and their masks all the time, and that's what the mask is. My guess is the Cult of the Vault has grown stronger and taken over. They may have taken over all of Pandora with Hyperion and Handsome Jack being gone. And so they may have just overrun the planet. We know that, I think it's already been said, that some of Borderlands 3 will take place on Pandora, or at least that was the rumor. So
Return to nothing. Justice
so
is mine.
that would make sense. They'll probably just talk about the content on Pandora and then tease that, oh yes, there will be 3 other planets that you go to, and that'll be it. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a 4-act story where in the first act you're in Pandora, and then the second act you move to another planet. Let's see. Gematsu has the media create sales for 3/18 through 3/24. Let's see. So software sales. The new ones are number 1, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, then Super Robot Wars T. This is Japanese sales. And then let's see. Super Robot Wars T again for number 3. Oh yeah, it is the PlayStation version, and then the Switch version.
I don't need any of
played that wrong. Let's see. And then Chocobo's Mystery Dungeon, Atelier Lua, the Scion of Arland is number 5. Chocobo's Mystery Dungeon for the PS4, the other one was for the Switch. And so those top 6, all of which are new, knocked Super Smash Bros. Ultimate down in sales to 7. Dead or Alive Extreme 3 Scarlet, which for a very brief time was available, I think, for free on Steam to Westerners by accident. So maybe it will come to the West, but I heavily suspect no it won't, because the Dead or Alive Extreme version of the Dead or Alive games are the things that the SJWs really, really hate. It's number 11 in Japan. The Nintendo Switch version of Atelier Lulua, the Scion of Arland, is way lower than the PS4 version. That's slightly interesting. Last time I saw these media create sales, Nintendo was taking all the top slots, and now Nintendo's in the bottom slots. The Nintendo Switch version of Dead or Alive Extreme 3 Scarlet took the 20th slot. And I don't think there's really any major change here. The distances, I think, every week between how many Switches sell versus how many PlayStation 4s sell versus how many 2DSs, 3DSs, and Vitas and Xbox One sell. Like, there's always such a big gap between that
The sun has set for me.
it's unlikely that that would ever
Justice is
change.
mine.
But it is, I suppose, in my speculation that we are seeing the beginning of the end for the PlayStation. The Nintendo Switch in Japan sold 56,099 units which is just about what it sold last week, whereas the PlayStation 4 original version sold 27,061 units, which is actually a couple thousand more than they sold last week. And the PlayStation 4 sold 7,834 units, which is just about what it sold last week. So if you add the PlayStation 4 Pro to the PlayStation 4 units, you get about 34,000, maybe 35,000 if you're generous. Well below what the Switch alone sells. And if you were going to be really fair here, I would then add to the Switch's 56,000 sales the fact that a significant number of 2DSs sold this week. 2,300 sold this week, where only about 800 sold last week, and 912 new 3DS LLs sold this week, which is about the same as it did there. So if you add all the Nintendo console things, the Nintendo portables and the Nintendo Switch together, which you really don't even have to do, you'd still get it way higher. There's like a 16,000 unit difference every week. So yeah, people are moving to the Switch. The one thing here in this hardware sales list is PCs, and it would be pretty difficult to calculate PCs sales because you would have to really know how many people are buying PCs for work reasons and how many people are buying PCs for gaming reasons in Japan, and that would be very hard, very hard to do. Let's see. I don't think that would work. Let's just draw 2 cards. And your turn. Moving on, TechRaptor has an article. Humble chops up to 67% off of Bethesda's games in the Publisher Week sale. I don't believe this is a Humble bundle, though. I believe this is just a sale where you can buy Bethesda games. This is because Morrowind's anniversary happened, and in fact you could get Morrowind for free, theoretically, off of the Bethesda launcher. But more importantly, I think, is I may already own Morrowind. All of Bethesda's games that were Bethesda launchers are coming back to Steam. So if TechRaptor mentions a few games here that, like, if you don't have the Elder Scrolls special Skyrim special edition, or you really want Oblivion or Morrowind, Morrowind in particular, and everything before Skyrim, would really require you to make a special effort to add mods to it to make it playable in a reasonable state. because there's just a lot of bugginess in Bethesda games. Fallout New Vegas, a non-Bethesda game. Fallout Tactics, Brotherhood of Steel, they're mentioning. Prey, I don't think I ever got Prey. Dishonored 2, I don't think I ever got Dishonored 2. So if I was rolling in cash right now, I'd go to the storefront and see what you could really get. You gotta be a little careful here because Fallout 76 is $40, but it would just give you a key to the Bethesda launcher, so you've got to. I would heavily recommend
Justice is mine.
keeping an eye out for what games are actually going to give you Steam codes versus what games are going to just give you garbage.
The sun has set for me. Justice is mine. Quickly.
So yeah, you can get Doom, which I think I already own, the Ultimate Doom, the old Doom, Fallout 4, Dishonored 2, Prey, Skyrim Special Edition, Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus, I don't believe I own that, Fallout 4 Season Pass, which someone gifted me Fallout 4 but didn't give me the Season Pass, so I could buy that if I was rolling in cash. Unfortunately, I'm really not rolling in cash, and buying a bunch of Bethesda games that I probably wouldn't get around to playing is probably not the best use of my money. Wolfenstein The New Order, Fallout New Vegas Ultimate Edition, Fallout 3 Game of the Year Edition, which would be the only version you should buy of that. If there is another version you can get, I would work really hard to avoid that.
Immortality.
Yeah, Morrowind, Game of the Year Edition, Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, Game of the Year Edition, Evil Within 2, I think I bought that, Wolfenstein The Old Bloods, or Wolfenstein The New Colossus Deluxe. I guess you have to be kind of careful here, because there's a lot of Wolfenstein games. I'm not sure which ones I have and which ones I don't. Dishonored Death of the Outsider. Prices on these are not bad, and you are getting Steam keys for everything. The Enemy Within, the Evil Within bundle. Dishonored 1. Dishonored 1 is $3.29, but the complete collection is what would be all the games. Rage is $3.29. Dishonored Death of the Outsider Deluxe Edition, Fallout 2, Fallout 3, not the Game of the Year Edition. There's too many editions. Frankly, I would not be putting some of these on sale at all. I would just say forget it. Either buy the Game of the Year Edition or don't buy the game. Prey Moon Crash is still $10 discounted. That's maybe a little too expensive there. Let's see, Prey Deluxe Edition is $20. These are all over the place in the Doom Classic Complete. Is that the same as Ultimate Doom, or is that different? That's a good question. A bunch of Fallout DLC, Call of Cthulhu, Quake 4. It seems like, with the exception of Fallout 76, all of these games are Steam keys. Rage has some DLC called the Scorchers. Did I buy that? Bunch of DLC at the bottom here. A game called Rogue Warrior I haven't heard of. Yeah, there's quite a lot of games, and with the exception of some of the DLC in Fallout 76, they all seem to be giving you Steam codes. So now would be probably a good point to get into Bethesda games if you wanted to get into Bethesda games and you haven't gotten around to it.
Don't mess with me!
Let's see. Next we have a game on Steam called Haramatai. Or Haramatia? Haramatia, maybe? Looks like it's kind of a puzzle platformer. I'm a little iffy here whether I'd call this an art style or whether I'd call this just bad graphics. Let's look at the price. I think I'll put this on the follow list unless the price is really high. At $2.68 discounted in early access, I'll put this on the follow list, see what people think about it. This might be an interesting Limbo-esque game, or it might just be a boring experience. Alright. What would this one do? 1/1 copy of a minion from your hand. If I played this before I killed that, that would be cool. Let's do that.
Don't mess with me!
Do that. I got lucky there. And do that. TechRaptor has an article. Square Enix restores offline play to Final Fantasy X 10-2 HD remaster. Yesterday on it was reported yesterday that the March 7th 2019 they introduced a patch to the Steam version of Final Fantasy X 10-2 HD remaster that caused the game to not to launch if you were in offline mode, whether you had a connection to the internet or were in offline mode, whether you had no connection to the internet or were in offline mode of Steam. This new requirement caused players of the game, I assume is what they meant to type, to review bomb the game due to the change in behavior, resulting in 70+ negative reviews in the last day or so. Well, it looks like Square Enix has reactivated or reacted as a new patch on March 27th, has reverted changes, and testing by TechRaptor has confirmed that the issue has been resolved. So, here is the question to ask, I suppose, on that. Was this a attempt on their part to force always-on activation onto an old game for no reason, just for, I guess, control or telemetrics, or I mean, who knows what the real reason would be? That was a mistake. Or was this just a bug? Like, many people left to the conclusion the patch that it included a new DRM, but that doesn't appear to be the case. The issue seems to have been an unintended consequences of attempting to hook into other Steam features. Let's see. TechRaptor's final paragraph here says the game never seemingly get to a reviewing review bomb status despite the number of negative reviews, so it's unclear going forward whether issues like this would be a justifiable reason to still count those reviews based on Steam's new review bomb policy. I bet Steam does not actually use their review bomb thing at all until for a very long time. My suspicion is they simply said they were going to do that so that to back off the Chinese like trolls, and that was all that really meant. So I bet they don't count. They don't say anything is quote unquote a review bomb, or as Steam was calling them, were off-topic review bombs or something like that. Whereas this certainly is on topic, in my opinion. The fact that the game does not launch in offline mode, a feature that Steam owns, is directly going to affect a good percentage of the people playing. It's not out of the game in the sense that DRM, the fact that a game has DRM but it works, is probably good enough for Steam to ignore that. Alright, I'm gonna just delete this now because I'm tired of this, and I'm just gonna play my odd paladin deck. Well, I guess I can't do that, so let's see what we can do with paladin. Jeez, I don't even know if this is the right deck to go with. Let's just play. Play Hunter. Just want to get a freaking win at this point. I hate these tavern brawls like this. It's so stupid. Like, I've been playing for an hour and 10 minutes and I haven't gotten one freaking victory. This should not be the experience that somebody is having, particularly when I'm getting up to rank 13 in ranked play. So yeah, I guess we'll keep an eye out on Final Fantasy Final Fantasy 10-10-2 and see if those 70 plus negative reviews really matter. Maybe 70 plus isn't even enough to trigger the review bomb amount. I imagine Final Fantasy 10-10-2 is probably not like a game that's under reviewed by that much. Let's see. Let's do a little journalism ourselves and just go over to Steam's page. Come on. Amazon. Where's the Steam link?
Quickly. I hunt alone.
PC. Okay, so here is Final Fantasy X-10-2 HD Remastered on Steam. It is 47% positive of 128 reviews in the last 30 days. whereas it is 89% positive of 6,000 reviews over the lifetime of the game. So, yeah. While it will have this brief bump for 30 days downward that will quickly get absorbed, and it did something very helpful for the consumer by it being reviewed. So, review bombs in this first instance, to my knowledge, have actually succeeded in actually causing a positive effect. Let's see. If it's like, here's a negative review over here. Single player offline game 3 years after the release receives a patch forcing online play at all times when the game has no online functionality. And if we come over here to the graph, you can see, yes, there is 65 negative reviews one day, 14 negative reviews the next day, whereas in the previous time there's been no real negative reviews. But looking here, the way this graph is depicted, when we go back to the beginning section, when it first came out, there was 128 negative reviews. So, like, and it's really only gotten little spikes of negative reviews, you know, over its entire lifetime. So this is hardly a bomb.
I wonder.
You would have to have had over 1,600 negative reviews to even bring it down the initial hype of the game, let alone all of the little bumps. Maybe this instance, it would be naive to assume that this is true, but one could hope that maybe this instance has even internally shown the value of negative reviews to more people inside of Valve, and Valve is now going to be even more less willing to discount negative reviews and call them off-topic review bombs. But honestly, I really suspect they will never use that feature. They got too much pushback from it, and
I don't need any of
too much upset people about it for it to be worth it. TechRaptor has another article here. The Witcher card game spin-off Gwent is heading to smartphones this year. Too little, too late. Unfortunately, like, Gwent should have been on smartphones from day one. They should not have even released that game until it could be played on smartphones. Why they would have thought that that was a good idea is beyond me. Seriously? I should have not done that. I need a silence card, and I bet I don't have anything.
Unleash me.
I bet I have no silence cards at all. TechRaptor has an article. WayForward announces Shanti for console, Shanti 5 for consoles, PC, and Apple Arcade. Shanti series is the platformer genie girl. This is her hair in the shape of a 5. That is most closely to a PC clone of Super Mario Brothers. But yeah, I guess that's pretty much all you can say about it. So I've been trying to play the Shanti series for quite a while, and I'm missing like the remastered version of the first game. The first game was released on like Game Boy or something, Game Boy Color, and I'm looking for the first game that was released on PC, and the naming system is not as well explained as, or doesn't make as much sense as I would like it to. So yeah, it'll be nice when that actually comes out, but I guess at the moment Shanti doesn't have a Steam link or anything, so that's not a big issue. Does he have a card that will do 3 damage? Well, I'm about to lose again, and sucks. I suppose after this game we should just break it up into the next recording. Next we have a game on Steam called Strength Check, which is clearly a troll game. I'd almost call this an art style, but this is just an infinite runner with a bunch of assets. Like, there's nothing here of interest, and having a trailer where at the beginning of the trailer what is this? Where the guy's just dancing around is ridiculous. It says 59 cents discounted. Yeah, I'd call this a low effort troll game. Maybe not even a troll game, just a low effort game. It looked like a troll game on the first appearance.
Job's done.
I guess if I could go 7 turns and survive 7 turns. Tech Raptor has an article here. Soul Calibur 6 collectible card game launches April 5th. The set is part of the Universal Fighting System card game. This feels like this is more of a Japanese card game that hasn't come over to the West. Apparently the Universal Fighting System includes sets for Street Fighter, Mega Man, Dark Stalkers, and others. Well, apparently there's a UFS Turbo World Championship in Omaha, Nebraska on March 29th, so it must be somewhat popular. I've never heard of it. Freaking hate this. I freaking hate this. I'm going to spend the entirety of this evening doing this. I'm gonna have to put off these tavern brawls. I mean, I'm gonna even just like walk away because this is really pissing me off. Like, I freaking hate these tavern brawls, and they want you to do it once every week, and it's always waste an hour and a half trying to win. Meanwhile, while I'm trying to get one freaking victory, we've got daily quests you also have to do. I need at least one of these daily quests gone, and the right move would be to get 3 victories with a Rogue Warrior. And I was, for the most part, trying to get 3 victories with a Rogue Warrior while doing the Tavern Brawl, and there's not enough overlap there because you can't get a victory. I hate the win ratio of Hearthstone. Every new expansion, it just gets worse, too. It's just more time. It's just more frustration. And I have so many cards on this. This is my main account. And it's still not good enough. It still doesn't matter. So on that rant, I'm going to end this recording. And then I'm going to step away for a second. And just stretch my legs. and then we'll start the recording again on the Americas account, having accomplished only one America's daily quest. We still have the European account with daily quests to do. We still have the Asian account with things to do. That's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me even further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.
Rexar versus Rexar.
Let the hunt begin. Bring it on! Moves quickly. Moves quickly. Moves quickly. Moves quickly.
Onward, Snuffle Snout! Is someone injured?
quickly. Backwards quickly. Backwards quickly. Well fought. I concede.
Okay, I'm back. Let's make another episode now. Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to another recording of Hearthstone. As always, today, well, not as always, today is Wednesday, March 27th. This is the second recording of the day and it's not going well, frankly. We need to get 3 rogue or warrior victories, and I think I'm pretty much screwed on Tavern Brawls. I may not even bother to try to do them on the European account, rather. It, on the face of it, doesn't seem like it would be that hard of a deck to play. You just need to make a deck using Journey of Unguru, Knights of Frozen Throne, and Kobolds of Catacombs cards. That being said, when I have it build the standard build a deck for me, it's not doing a great job with it, and so I've spent an hour and a half trying to win, and I think what I'll probably do is just go for the easy victories by starting a game and just seeing if people get bored and concede, instead of plowing through with me not playing at all. That's easy because it requires less effort. It's not easy because it really requires less time. Meanwhile, which of these at rank 12 should I play? Or should I not play any and just play on casual? I think I need to play on casual, even if I could win with Rogue or Warrior at rank 12 and not get my rank knocked down. Since we're on the Americas account and this is the second episode, we need to get off of the Americas account. We need to move over to the European account. We need to get to this. I really don't want to make a third episode. Particularly, I don't want to be forced into making a third episode because I can't get the victories I need to get to get just the daily quest done. Meanwhile, while we do have a decent number of bits of news, it's not like this Wednesday is overflowing with news, and it would be alright if there was a little bit of news left over for Friday, although ideally I would like Fridays to be the shortest of the 3 days to stream because nobody's ever watching anything on Fridays, typically speaking. I could kill that right now with that, but I don't see a reason to. Actually, I am not 100% sure what this is supposed to do.
Reporting for duty.
This is all about the legendary Malygos. So each of these, you kind of want to just save.
Justice is mine.
So until I can get Malygos on the field several times and do a one-turn kill with all of these spells, it's kind of nothing I want to do.
Again?
Gamatsu has an article over here. Puzzle adventure game player list, one button adventure announced for the PS4, Xbox One, Switch, PC, and smartphones, due out in Q2 of 2019. It's got a little trailer here. Player list is an interesting name. Summon a 1/1 who's with poisonous.
Justice
And
is
it is
mine.
smart to get rid of these 1 mana characters. A 1-button adventure might be a bit of a boring game, frankly. There are Space Ace and what is it called? Space Quest? No. There's a couple of Laserdisc games that are famous for having only 1 button and a control stick. I would like to own and cover those games, but I also would fully admit that covering Space Ace and the Laserdisc games would probably boil down to just me playing the game in the sense of having it play all the videos through, because it's such a difficult game, and the remastered version really didn't go to address that at all. From what I've seen other people play it, is that you still are getting an incredibly difficult experience where you have to hit the button probably a few milliseconds before you'd even register that the button needs to be pressed. This game, Playerless, it looks kind of like a Programming Lemmings game, as best I can understand it. I'm not seeing anything super appealing about it. Let's do that.
Justice is
Get rid of
mine.
Yeah, I don't. That was kind of an anti-hype article because of just how boring it looked. Alright. Return that to your hand, see what that does. Draw a couple cards. These are good cards to play, but they are not what I'm looking for. GameIndustry.biz has an article. GameStop partners with 3 esports organizations. Games retailer signs a deal with the Houston Outlaws, Envy Gaming, and Optic Gaming. I wouldn't be surprised if this is these are 3 Texas-based esports organizations. I wouldn't be surprised if there's the same parent company owns all of them, but I also wouldn't be surprised if this just means GameStop will be selling their hats and their logoed products, which, yeah, that kind of makes sense. Like, why not sell that kind of stuff? It is certainly heavily speculative to say that esports is going to be the new NFL in the United States, and people are going to want to buy hats and scarves and just, you know, souvenir garbage from esports players. If anything, if it's a Hearthstone, for example, esports team, I imagine you'd want the Hearthstone logo stuff, not the just gonna... I hope I have enough cards here for all of this. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think I have enough room for one card more to draw, but then I'm gonna need to make some room. If I burn Malygos in this next move, that would be insane. That'd be the worst case scenario. Burn Malygos. That'd be like, might as well give up. Let's see. TechRaptor has an article, Where the Bees Make Honey Review, Terror and Madness. I have not heard of this game. Here's the logo. This is a real game, not a board game. Well, not that board games aren't real games, but it's a video game. I have not seen anything about this game. And I've basically seen everything. Maybe at this point I just kind of forget. And maybe I have seen something about this. Looks like it's a puzzle game of something. Let's see. Oh wow. The review is 1.0 awful. They were given a copy from the publisher. The summary is, Where the Bees Makes Honey tries to convey the message through nostalgic childhood memories, unresponsive controls, and a plethora of technical issues undermine everything. There might be something to the puzzles, but they're weak and extremely buggy. The game is physically painful in its current state. Pros, interesting puzzle ideas. Deal 1 damage, draw a card. There we go. So we've got Malygos, but we kind of need to get rid of that. I could have played that instead.
Justice
I can hit
is
that.
mine. I already attacked.
I can hit this, and this, and this. Oh, forget it. Let's just win. I didn't even need Malygos. I was doing all this setup for Malygos, and it didn't matter. Yeah, the pros are interesting puzzle ideas and a decent message. The cons are it's buggier than a beehive, awful camera, no menu options, poor level design, irritating puzzles, and inconsistent art style. And yes, this game is on Steam, and I totally have not heard of it. It's $9.99. It came out yesterday, and so maybe it is a game that we will look at as one of the games that came out. Wakefield Interactive. Yeah, it doesn't look like anything else they've made is of any interest anyways, although in all fairness their newest game looks a lot better than their older games. So maybe 2 more games, or maybe if they put a lot of effort into their next game, it will actually be good. You don't need this. You don't really need that. So, yeah, I haven't been following, I guess, my Twitter feed as well as I should, because that game should have shown up and it didn't. Who knows what percentage of games actually I miss on a daily basis. It doesn't feel like a lot. We certainly see a lot of games. We're getting a much better impression of games that are coming out than if you were to just follow like Giant Bomb or any other mainstream video game journalist site, where the Giant Bomb in particular has gotten less and less talking about games, where they'll talk about 3 of the biggest games of course everybody has heard about, and that is it. And if it's a slow week, maybe they'll look on Steam and find some random game. Moving on, we have a game on Steam, 1 vs 1 Battle Royale for the Throne. This looks more like a Zelda game than a Battle Royale game. Looks like it's just an RPG Maker clone though. A black bars on the side again, 59 cents discounted. Yep. No interest in that. Excuse me. Let's see. Komatsu has an article. 16. Where's my mouse? Man, I need my mouse to contrast more on these white backgrounds. 16-bit party fighting game Super Slime Arena is coming to Switch. It's probably only to Japan though. It first launched on Steam in January of 2018, and guess I'll go to the Steam page. I don't think it really needs.
I wonder. Justice is mine.
A stone.
So what I'm trying to do is get Malagos on the field. Let's see, Steam page for this game is so Super Slime Arena is this game. It's rated positively. It looks like you're just player versus player fighting with a lot of people. I would imagine since it's slimes, that's probably more popular in Japan than anywhere else. Yeah, there's nothing here that really interests me. $14.99 multiplayer only. Positive or not, that you're gonna have to have a pretty big player base. I cannot do anything, so it's just end my turn. All those cards and cannot really do anything at all. I'm just gonna have to hope he can't kill me in the next couple turns. This is gonna burn cards.
My hand is full.
Alright. I can do this if I can stay alive. If I can stay alive. So, is there anything to do this turn?
Think.
He's got 7 damage. So we'll see if this works. If this actually works, this will probably be the first time this ever actually has worked for me, because the strategy is difficult. Right. This.
Monsters behind you.
And then preparation. And then preparation. And then trigger twice. Seriously? Ah.
Justice is mine.
Well, that killed me.
Quickly.
Well, actually, that didn't kill me. Interesting. Alright.
Astounding.
5, 10, 7. I could have done like 18 damage there. I needed it to not have summoned the dragon the first time. Yeah. Well, I don't think I can really play that. Like that's a really tough deck. The other thing we need is like 2 victories more. So let's try Warrior and see if Warrior is a little bit more realistic. Because that to play that Rogue Malygos strategy, you really have to pay perfect attention and probably be playing against people who know that that is the strategy you're playing for, or playing against people who are just complete idiots. Moving on, Tech Raptor has the article, Gearbox Software teases Borderlands 3 with the Mask of Mayhem trailer. This trailer is here if you want to see it. Here's an Unreal Engine 4 tech demo from 2017. I want to look at this while we're playing, because there is something to be said, I think, about how much improvement probably needs to have been made. There's Randy Pitchford, first thing on the screen. Because of CDC, they've been showing off what improvements they're going to do in the next version of Unreal Engine. Not Unreal Engine 5, but Unreal Engine, I believe, 4.22. A lot of it has to do with ray tracing, but they are replacing their physics system with a new system called Chaos. Or as part of that Chaos system is going to replace the PhysX, PHYSX system, which is a physics system. They are completely redoing their audio engine, which is probably very good, because I've run into a lot of games where if you alt-tab out of them and then come back 24 hours later on PC, the ambient audio is just missing. You're just playing the game in silence at that point. And like Cube 2, QUBE2 in particular, like even when I loaded it back in, the audio ran into problems. So I don't think the audio engine has ever been particularly good in the Unreal. Not that any of them have been that good. So major improvements there. Improvements for 3D audio and surround sound, but just improvements in general for displaying things. At least 2 different presentations. Each of these presentations is about 20 minutes to 30 minutes long. At least 2 of them that I've seen, because I follow Unreal on YouTube, so I can see specifically their presentations. Big focus on ray tracing and talking about how points where ray tracing makes sense and points where ray tracing won't make sense. One of the things they're going to do is they were saying that as it's programmed right now, it's very processor intensive. If you have something very reflective mixed with something that's not reflective at all, So you should either in one area have everything be very reflective or nothing, and they expect to see a divide there. And that jungles with ray tracing are going to be the general description of something that's going to work very badly, whereas a outside empty area with no foliage will look pretty good, or an inside area with things that aren't bouncing rays of lights all over the place looks pretty good. And it was talking about how in the game you define certain light sources, and certain light sources might be ray traced, and then a lot of them should be what they're called baked in light sources. And then they were talking about how you can make reflections look a lot better with ray tracing, but you also kind of need to limit how that works too, because that's just processor intensive. Ray tracing seems to be getting built in directly into Unity. No, not Unity, Unreal. So the question will be a question of are you going to is it going to be possible to do ray tracing with non-NVIDIA graphics cards? And I think the answer is probably yes, but at a very low performance level, in the same way that NVIDIA has already added ray tracing to graphics cards that were not built to do ray tracing. Basically, you'll probably have a checkbox, unless it's just automated. You'll probably have a checkbox when setting up your graphics to turn on ray tracing or not. And if you don't have an RTX graphics card of some sort, I imagine the answer will be turn off ray tracing if you don't have an RTX card. I'm really more excited by the idea of them rewriting their audio engine, because audio problems, lesser recognized, but they have been issues. There's nothing particularly in the newest versions of Unreal though that will drastically change how games are made or played. It's just little improvements so that the next generation game, the next year's games, will look a little bit better than last year's games, as it almost always is the case. Let's see. Let's see. See if this works. I could do this a couple times. Can't do it a third time though. Darn it. So yeah, the Unreal Engine 4 tech demo from 2 years ago, not very visually persuasive today. It doesn't look very good. And then this trailer of the Mask Mayhem for Borderlands 3, yeah, it does certainly point to the idea that the Cult of the Vault very possibly is taken over, and it's showing off some characters that look like they may be the new bad guys. And I'm seeing a Claptrap, so we'll still have a Claptrap, and I'm seeing a Rack, and I'm seeing a bunch of other new Vault Hunters that look cool. But they're all in just white stone color, so they're not even colored in. And unless Tiny Tina is going to be aged up quite a bit more than I thought she was. I don't think I see Tiny Tina, and I see Angel, and I don't know how Angel is still alive. Just destroy this. But yeah, not a lot to really take from the Mask of Mayhem trailer. Go check it out yourself if you want to. Scooter's not there. That's not a surprise, but Scooter's sister is. The reason Scooter's not there again is because the guy who voice acted that became ill and stopped working for Gearbox. There are some other characters that certainly should have been left on the cutting room floor. I don't think I saw Mad Moxie. I don't think I saw Marcus. I don't think I saw the Professor Crazy Lady. Yeah, I think I'm gonna lose again.
Job's done.
I don't even know what the strategy here was. Seems like it's just do a lot of damage.
Well played.
So yeah, there was a decent number of characters that have just been given a lot of coverage over the 3 Borderlands games already. So yeah, I'm not surprised. I haven't even played the pre-sequel, so I don't know if any of those characters or events matter at all. I imagine they don't. Alright, so let's go back to Rogue and see if we can maybe get a victory there. We'll just switch between these two until we can get victories. We're playing on casual. We're doing everything in our power to actually win. And it's just slow going Wednesday. TechRaptor has an article. We Happy Few gets an arcade mode in the new 1.7 update. I don't think that really was wanted. The update includes several new modes which were promised back during the game's Kickstarter days. The Welly mode has changed names but is now coming to the game. The task and tasks the players with performing duties of a friendly local Bobby. In Night's Watch, you play as Constable and must keep a watch on those filthy downers. So what I need is Malagos in the first draw, don't I? That's like the only way you win here, is you just re-roll for Malagos. You fight wave of waves off of enemies in Night's Watch. I guess this is just probably a case of them fulfilling Kickstarter requirements so they don't get sued. And certainly it's an example of We Happy Few's developers promising modes for a game that really doesn't need nor get improved by those modes at all. Alright, so we're ready to go as long as I can just only get the things that trigger death rattles, which I have one of them, but you really can't win until the 5th or 6th turn anyways. So yeah, I can do this and take that guy out, and that's fine. I still think, though, that the best way to fix We Happy Few is to remove all the survival aspects and just have a very short storyline experience. Have it so you're literally moving the character from point A to point B to trigger cutscenes and conversations, and just get out and away from anything else. I'll see. If I could get the character that I need on the field, I could play this, destroy this, get 2 of those, then play this, destroy this, get 2 more. That would be probably more than enough to deal damage for like a 1-turn kill. Yep. Alright, so can I do this turn, or if I play this right now, do I make a mistake? I think I make a mistake if I do this. Because if I played this... Yeah. Alright. Yeah, I think we're cool. Leaving everything here. We just need more cards. Because I need to be able to play this and then play 5. So I need the field cleared.
I speak for the tree.
I'm screwed now. Right. This.
Monsters behind you.
Justice
Attack.
is mine. I don't have enough mana.
The red one tastes like cherries.
4 damage. Need this to work. Come on. This deck is so bad because you have to just get rid of this 8. I would take this out and get rid of everything else because it's just too dangerous any other way. Please work with Malagos. Alright. Do we have enough magic to do this then? 13 to the face. 14 to the face. Man, I did this wrong. I should have done this first
The red one tastes like cherries.
and do that, and in the turn. I may still be able to do this.
Where my trees at?
No, I think he's got me exactly dead to rights.
Well played.
I was closer. There was a chance there. Remember, I'm just playing it casual, so it shouldn't be matchmaking me to anything. It should just be giving me complete idiots or really smart people. But it seems like I'm just getting matched by a secret ranking system anyways. Moving on. We have an article here. Far Cry. Tech Raptor has this article. Far Cry, the immersive stealth experience that could have been. I believe this is a kind of retrospective on the original Far Cry game, so it kind of doesn't matter. I would say the screenshots I'm seeing here of the original Far Cry game doesn't make it look so terrible that I don't think I couldn't play it. Although, how long you would have to stay in this... I'd probably just want to speed run something like that if I was to guess. It's kind of a pointless article. And see, I'm seeing the beginning of the end, and we're still on the Americas account, so we very possibly here are going to be done with all the news, and I'm just going to rage quit basically for today, because we're getting no victories on anything. It's just been a bad day. We haven't had a bad day in Hearthstone for several months, which is, I guess, nice.
Justice is mine.
We have a game on Steam here called Shadowrunner. It looks like it's very reflective, sort of parkour asset flip game. It seems like you have a rear view mirror, but that's not really what this is showing you. It seems to be just showing you exactly what you're looking at in front of you. So what's the point of that? Speedrun oriented platformer. I've heard that a million times. $8.99. I'll be generous and put it on the follow list, but I've seen so many bad games in that same vein. Alright. Draw cards.
Justice is mine.
TechRaptor has this article. The Humble Hot Date Bundle will soothe your soul. We'll talk about this more. I did want to point out this is a picture from Clannad. Clannad was worldwide trending on Twitter for a brief moment there, although I didn't catch it directly. Apparently someone pretty famous, I think in Japan, was talking about how sad Clannad is as a visual novel, and people started talking about it, and they were famous enough to get it trending, which is interesting. So yeah, we'll talk about what the Hot Date Bundle includes. This will be actually an interesting bundle for me. I guess I could probably just spend $1 on it, or I could go as far as $15 and get them all. Visual novels have always been this thing where I would like to play them off screen and have a way to review them, but I really don't know how to, because a lot of them, well, the the lewd visual novels are the problem. So I guess if I get those cheap on a Humble Bundle purchase, then I don't have to worry about actually ever playing them or anything like that. Or if I do play them, I can play them in my own time. Man, it's gonna be a frustrating later tonight. It's gonna be frustrating because I'm gonna have to do all this Hearthstone stuff that's not happening, and then I'm also gonna be frustrated because I have to do a bunch of scheduling on YouTube, and that sucks too. Oh man, if this YouTube job paid anything, I would hire a secretary or an editor. Like, part of the job of my video editor would be you're in charge of scheduling things. Just schedule that stuff for me. Get that stuff going. I'd probably give them a very generic assistant title and just expect them to do tons of work. And then the big question is, why would somebody be working for me when they could just make their own YouTube channel and be probably as successful, if not more? I often do wonder about my YouTube channel, is that I wonder if there's a certain point where after you've gone a certain number of years where they go, yeah, you're never going to be popular. We're not going to suggest your videos anymore. We gave you 6 months to be a breakout hit, and of course you couldn't do it. So now you're just at the bottom of the recommendation feed. Moving on, TechRaptor has an article. Devolver Digital's Observation is now an Epic Store exclusive. This guy's kicking my butt. Fine, take that. And then that. And then that. And while we're at it, how about that? While you're at it. So TechRaptor has this article. Devolver Digital's Observation is now an Epic Store exclusive. Not to be confused with Observer. Let's see. Announced during yesterday's State of Play as a PS4 game, No Code's Observation will only ship on one additional platform at launch. On PC, you'll need to buy it from the Epic Store. So yeah, another Epic Store exclusive. And yeah, that sucks, but I mean, what can I say? I should have attacked a couple times. I'm not playing right at all. If I could have played this and played that on that, that would have done something, I'm sure. Let's see. Gamatsu has this article. Wolfenstein Cyber Pilot launches July 26. Become the best hacker in town. Apparently, Wolfenstein Cyber Pilot will launch for the PSVR and PC. This must be some kind of VR game. I've not heard anything about this. Man, yeah, and we're so screwed. I am so screwed today. I can't get these victories. I can do some Druid class cards, which I probably will just have to play some Druid class card games and leave this for Wednesday and just bang my head against this. Let's just get off the Americas account. Maybe we'll get luckier on the European account. Maybe that'll happen. Because I'm seeing the end of the road as far as news. This is not going to be another 40 minutes of gameplay because of the news. It's going to be another hour and 40 minutes of gameplay because of daily quests. And I just am going to seriously have a mental breakdown here in a second for as terrible as this is all going. Alright. This hunter class cards and even cards. Let's do a tavern brawl, create a deck, hunter, and then I'm just gonna type in even. I don't even think that's how this works. I think you have to type in IS:EVEN. Alright, we'll do this the basic way then. 0 is even, right? And 2 is even. So take all of those. And then 4. I guess 4 is even. and 6 would be even. Okay. And then we'll just do the rest of this way. But I don't even think you can play the cards that would make this make sense. Yeah, I don't think there's a real reason to do it this way at all. Let's 4 more cards. There you go. So that's kind of just a stupidly built even cards deck with a decent amount of hunter things. We'll just bang our head against this and see if we can maybe get a quick victory. I don't care if they disconnect or what, I'll just be done with it at that point.
Let the hunt begin.
And if I do get that victory and we haven't played enough hunter decks, we'll just play hunter on ranked because that's a smarter move. So this game, Wolfenstein Copilot or Cyberpilot, seems like it's a VR game and you're inside a giant mech. I don't know why you would do this other than it probably was just a VR experiment by Bethesda Softworks in VR, and then they probably just put the Wolfenstein skin on it, and that probably made a lot of sense when you were actually, when this was in development. This is $19.99. I think it deserves to be on the follow list. Like, it's an actual game in VR, which those are always a little rare. So yeah, I'll put it on the follow list. I bet it's not that good. The Wolfenstein series is weird. Frankly, the reboot series is very weird because it's basically successful. The reboot was successful, and then the side sequel of the Old Blood really wasn't as successful, and then the actual continuation of Wolfenstein, the New Colossus, was sort of successful but not as successful. I think it's just a little too niche. I think also the Wolfenstein series is going in a direction that's somewhat accurate to the original game, or at least Wolfenstein 3D, but it is also going in kind of a weird direction. The weirdest part, I think, is that Wolfenstein New Blood is getting rid of the main character completely in favor of the daughters, and even the reboot series kind of was as much focusing on his BJ Blazkowicz, yeah, that's his name, BJ Blazkowicz's love interest more than it was focusing on BJ Blazkowicz. As a character, he's not getting a lot of characterization. And there's a lot more to that story about how SJWs didn't like the New Blood, the New Colossus, because it didn't say F Nazis enough, even though it's a game where you're literally killing Nazis, actual Nazis, throughout it. That I think they fell into complaints of that, and that's why you have a game that was BJ Blazkowicz, which like his name is a reference to blowjobs. So I mean, it's always had like dirty, naughty, raunchy humor, much like the Mortal Kombat series, and it seems like they might be going in the wrong direction because they're not embracing what made those games interesting and fun in the first place, and just becoming super PC police by replacing BJ with the two daughters, and now it's just going to be a raw feminist game. Maybe, like, that's kind of what it feels like it might be. Which, I mean, that's a wild swing for the Wolfenstein series. And frankly, the Wolfenstein series has always been a simple enough series. It just needs to be the either up-to-date or new groundbreaking first-person kind of dungeon crawler first-person shooter game. That's kind of all it has to do. So in the reboot, they introduced the concept of stealth into the game that really wasn't as much an issue in previous games, and they introduced some magical abilities in the shield, and I think the magical abilities storyline, ancient alien technology basically, threw the story in a weird direction also. But it's not that out of order either, because previous Wolfenstein games did have weird occult magic and machines and stuff, so like almost anything is acceptable in a Wolfenstein game. Just needs to be good, and arguably maybe the games aren't quite as good as they should be. That all being said, I've played the first game. I'm more than willing to play all the other games in the series and see how it happens. At least at this point. Next we have a game on Steam. I think we talked about this last stream and it came up again. Tree Simulator 2020 for 59 cents. Total garbage, low effort game. I may have actually not gone through some of the games, so we may run into a lot of duplicates here. If that's the case, we may be a lot closer to the end than I think. Next we have a game on Steam called Scuus, S-C-U-O-S. Puzzle game where you need to reproduce the pattern on the board of another. Well, that's idiotically easy. Like, as idiotically easy. The only twist here is this yellow line, and it might change it slightly. Well, this is 74 cents with a discount. If you want a stupid, ugly looking one-screen Unity puzzle game, I guess it's there. How many puzzles does it even say? It doesn't even give you a number, so I don't know how many you'd really run into, and 12 achievements. Yeah, that is just way too dumbed down of an idea. Let's see. TechRaptor has an article here. Sci-fi noir adventure Whispers of a Machine roars to life April 17th. This is kind of a hype article, but frankly at this point, hype articles are what I need. I'll watch this trailer and see what this is about. Sci-fi Nordic noir is what it's labeled as. I think you're probably going too far to have Nordic mysticism, which is what I assume this is going to be, and sci-fi in your game. That being said, that was exactly what Two Human did then, and I like that game quite a bit. Unfortunately, it's now illegal to sell, so like they never really did anything with it. And they really couldn't do anything with it. Let's see. Whisper of a Machine will be available for Windows, Mac, iOS, and Android on April 7th. The trailer really didn't show me anything. Let's see. It seems like it's probably half puzzle, half adventure game. So it might be sort of like a point and click adventure game. The trailer really didn't give me anything as far as details. And the fact that I haven't heard anything about it, and it seems like it's gonna come out pretty soon, probably means it's not that big of a game either. For those people who could not wait for Metro Exodus and bought it on the Epic storefront, Metro Exodus is getting a new Game Plus mode in the Ranger update. So I guess that's fine. I can't inherently begrudge a game for supporting their game, even if their publishing company did put them on a exclusivity deal with the Epic Store. I still want games to be good, so a year later when they're on Steam they'll be good. The opposite of this article could have read Metro Exodus getting no more updates or patches due to low sales because it's a Steam a Epic Store exclusive. That's a way worse story to have to read, and that's not a real story. So good for that, I suppose. Let's see. Gematsu has an article here. Ninja action platformer Cyber Shadow has been announced for the PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. Published by Yacht Club Games, developed by Mechanical Head Studios. I think I've heard of Mechanical Head Studios. This is a interesting looking thumbnail. I bet it's just an 8-bit game, so I'm gonna watch the trailer and see what this looks like. It is. It's a NES looking platforming game. Like, doesn't look terrible or anything, but it's not anything super surprising. Release date is yet to be announced. PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. $14.99 is how much it's going to cost. TechRaptor has an article. Funcom and Rock Paper Games reveal a cosmic horror Moons of Madness. Cosmic horror game called Moons of Madness. Let's see. Funcom published Mutant Year Zero Road to Eden, which I had forgotten had already come out. Conan Exiles, which didn't do anything, and Secret Worlds Legends, which really didn't do anything. So I wouldn't expect Moons of Madness to get much publishing assistance either. That being said, all those games really suffered, I think, more from being bad games than having bad publishing. It's really hard to make the determination, while I watch this trailer, that it is the publisher's fault. Very rarely do you run into a scenario where people don't know a game exists. It's much more about the fact that it's just not well received. Moons of Madness looks like a 3D kind of adventure game, first person, where you're on the moon in a settlement and doing specific tasks, and also potentially, I assume, going crazy and seeing hallucinations or something. Yeah. Yeah, the craziness is now kicked into the trailer. I figured that was coming. Alright.
Job's done.
Moons of Madness looks a lot like Prey Moon Crash. I guess inherently with Prey coming out, and it looks like there's tentacle monsters and old god type creatures, like Cthulhu stuff in this. Yeah, with System Shock being in development and Prey being somewhat successful, I wouldn't be surprised if that inspired a couple more clones or similar games. TechRaptor has an article. Apple announces the Apple Arcade, a subscription service launching in the fall of 2019. We had already talked about this, but I don't think I knew that it was a subscription service. Many of the games in it will be exclusive to Apple Arcade, but none of the games that I really saw looked that interesting. You're really not even competing in the same, like, in the same field. Because cell phone games are really no competition to big AAA games for consoles and PC. TechRaptor has an article. All the announcements from id at Xbox, or ID at Xbox, Game Pass 3/27/26. Let's see what's here. Outer Worlds from Mobius and Annapurna was shown off. There was a montage of gameplay that included a game called Void Bastards, which is a stylish roguelike, a first-person dungeon crawler RPG called Operincia: The Stolen Sun, a nonsensical goat and cart game called Supermarket Shriek, Sweary's photographing animals in the Lake District simulator The Good Life, and finally the game about outdrinking the devil in hell, After Party. Okay. Then there was an in-depth look at After Party, and then Blazing Chrome on a run and gun shooter. Yeah, so not a lot announced. So I wonder if the ID at Xbox was going to be particularly bigger if there happened to have been something more announced at the Sony State of Play. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Microsoft just said, well, the Sony State of Play didn't really have anything too big to announce, so let's just let's hold back some stuff for E3. Yeah. And maybe the Sony State of Play really thought it was going to outshine by going first this Microsoft-idded Xbox. Although, frankly, Sony's State of Play since I think they're not going to have an E3 presentation, really has to outshine all of E3. There's also, I could just be blinded to some reality here, and it also could just be, this is the beginning of examples of they're just going to all have their own little Nintendo Directs, Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo, and at some point I think either PC Gamer or Valve themselves are going to have their own Directs to talk about games. So yeah, I would not be surprised if nobody committed to going to E3 next year at all, and then about 6 months before E3 next year, they just all one by one announce actually no, we're not going to have a booth at E3, or we'll have a booth but we're not going to pay for the presentation space. Alright, what's more do we want to do?
Going to die.
Job's done.
So yeah, this ID at Xbox Game Pass was 13 minutes long. I just kind of streamed through it, and it was just two people I don't recognize announcing a bunch of games I don't recognize, and nothing to really get hyped about. Gamasutra has an article. Intel and Spirit AI are working on machine learning powered voice chat moderation. So maybe eventually the voice chat will get muted, or you'll get banned from games for what you say because it thinks you said something bad and you didn't say something bad. That'll just be a whole new wave. This is really a pointless thing. This is that Rainbow Six Siege, all players and all video games are toxic. I don't usually recommend other YouTubers' videos, but there's a video that I saw on YouTube called The Myth of the Toxic Gamer, and it ran a real comparison between how video games journalists, who are mostly SJWs, have been calling video game players toxic, whereas comparing that to like soccer fans who, like, soccer riots have happened, people have been killed. I think he was talking about a story where a person was literally beheaded at a soccer game, and his head was put on a spike, and still nobody is calling soccer fans all toxic, when arguably there is a decent number of people who are soccer fans are toxic, and really just breaking it down to people are people, and people will get aggressive. But this story, as it connects to that, so go check out the video, The Myth of the Toxic Video Game Players, or Toxic Players, because it really is just a myth. It's just a false narrative, a false problem, and trying to moderate what people are saying to other people is a stupid idea. Have a report button. If somebody is saying something inappropriate to you, you should be able to mute them, you should be able to report them, have a human listen to it. If they get reported a lot, and maybe then you mute the person. But proactively trying to censor speech of people having speech amongst groups that does not in any way involve your company, just because they're on your video game platform, is ridiculous. It is totally ridiculous. A waste of money, a waste of energy, just so pro-censorship for no good reason. But yeah, I don't want to get into too much of a rant about that. So here is that game I was talking about earlier on TechRaptor, Wolfenstein Youngblood, set to launch July 26th. And here you have the two daughters of BJ Blazkowicz and his female interest, who I don't even remember her name. I think it was Anna or something. And you can see they have the ancient alien technologies as that they're using as a shield, which I did not like the way that looked particularly. So yeah. So Jess and Soph are BJ and Anya's daughters, and they're all grown up. It also puts them in 1980s Paris of this alternate timeline, which, like, they had already done a time jump forward in this rebooted series, so it's kind of weird that they're doing another time jump forward. There is danger here, certainly, for a lot of rants coming from me and other people if Wolfenstein Youngblood comes out and it is highly positively reviewed by the mainstream video game journalists, and then is severely critically reviewed by actual people who pay for games or actual video game players. I'm not saying that will be the case. For all I know, Youngblood might be as good as any of the other games, which they've been pretty good, not great. And it'll be fine. We'll just have to wait and see. But drama incoming, certainly. Drama that I don't think you needed to really do. I think you could easily have the series follow BJ Blazkowicz in the same way that the Mario series has always followed Mario, and every other game series has almost always followed the main protagonist throughout decades and decades of games. Zelda, while the Zelda character is a different character each time, and Link character is a different character every time, so those change, so that would be an outlier. And arguably some of the Donkey Kong characters have changed who they are. But yeah, most games, just think if it was the opposite. Imagine if after this Tomb Raider trilogy they decided Lara Croft is going to have twin boys, or two boys, and they're going to set Lara Croft 10 to 15 years in the future, or 18 years in the future, and the next Tomb Raider game has you playing as twin boys. Would that feel like a Tomb Raider game? No. Would people complain about that because you have a powerful woman character who has been known for many, many years, replaced by two male characters? Yeah. So when you flip it around, it's not a good idea. Not a good idea at all. Speaking of not a good idea, playing Hearthstone today was not a good idea. Was that all one game, too? Have I been playing the same freaking Tavern Brawl for an hour? Possibly. Wow. Let's get rid of let's finish the rest of this news and move on. Gamer Sutra has a blog, a design examination on Resident Evil 2 Remastered. So it's just like an opinion blog about what is so great about Resident Evil 2. So it's kind of nice to see people still happy with Resident Evil 2, because that certainly doesn't happen as much as you would think. The Epic Game Store has the Walking Dead collection, so this, I believe, would be the first bundle on the Epic Store. And I'm not sure you can even buy them all at once. As I'm looking here, like, it looks to me, while there's a page showing you each game, there's no button without, maybe if you sign in or use the launcher, you can buy them all at once. I theoretically owned the Walking Dead collection, but don't have all the Walking Dead games because the final seasons being an Epic Store exclusive. Although I guess I kind of I lucked out on the Walking Dead because I've only played the last season like a year or two after it came out, so there's enough time to wait and see it move over from being exclusive to come back to Steam. I assume it will. I assume they all will. All the Epic Store exclusives. Well. Battlecry. 2 damage. Add a couple elementals to your hand. Gematsu has an article. Ubisoft's E3 2019 press conference is set for June 10th. So, I guess we have to get through April, and E3 is in June. And we're just starting on April, so it's about 30 days. 33 days. E3 runs from June 11th to the 13th. Alright. So yeah, it feels like E3 was just 6 months ago, but actually it was 11 months ago. Let's see, poisonous. We'll do that. Let's see, next we have a game on Steam called Blood Trail, which looks like a dark screenshot syndrome horror game. It's in VR. Looks like you're running around just shooting people and making them bloody. The 3D models on the people looks terrible. It's early access, requires VR, and it wants $24.99 with no discount. This is a game that's easy enough to never play. Turn. Gamer Sutra has the same article. Observation will be an Epic Games Store exclusive. The Steam page has been pulled. So this is also either the second, third instance of games previously having a Steam page and then pulling it. At a certain point, I think Steam has a right to get pissed off about that, and maybe they will start punishing people who do this, or very possibly they will start charging a lot to have a Steam page. I mean, but it would have to be quite a lot. It would have to be well over $10,000 to have a Steam page, so that you're so pot committed to it that you wouldn't pull your game from the Steam storefront. The only other thing I imagine you could do is you could have people sue them for fraud, and you could Valve does at this point, I think, have a argument of tortious interference against Epic, because they're literally paying Epic is literally paying people to not do business with them, and I don't think that's legal, depending on about how you go about it. It's very dangerous. it's a very dangerous legal legal path. TechRaptor has the same article. EA lays off 350 employees in publishing, marketing, and other areas. We don't need to go over that. This story is a little interesting. Game Sutra has an article. Judgment, known as Judge Eyes in Japanese, has sold through 97% of its stock following the controversy where the voice actor was tested positive for cocaine use. Let's see, 97% of its stock since it halted sales of the game, and worldwide inventory is almost gone as well, which potentially makes this one of the most expensive games in the future. Depending, like this might be one of those rare games that's worth $300 or $400 each in a couple decades. So if you bought Judgment, you might want to just keep it mint in box. Let's see. The actor apparently admitted to illegal drug use. I had not heard that part. I'm not sure if that's really true either. Like, So right now, Sega of Japan is still just halting sales of Judge Eyes. They really haven't done anything else to. I imagine in the background, in secret, they're working towards removing the main actor and replacing him, but they're not really saying. So yeah, the last 3% of Judgment, particularly the Japanese Judge Eyes version, would probably be the really, really rare, expensive one. I need to play 3 more even cards and some more cards. Next we have a game on Steam called Willowbrook Post, story-based job management game. Any job simulation game is not very good. This looks like a Roblox clone, and it's already at mixed reviews. Early access for $6.99. So yeah, I'm not gonna put that on the follow list. TechRaptor has an article, We the Revolution Review, Law and Disorder. We saw a hype article from TechRaptor about this, and now we get the full review. This is a French Revolution simulator game. Let's see let's see what they gave it. They gave it a 6.0 good. That's not particularly that good. Summary, We the Revolution looks great and the courtroom gameplay is interesting and kept me coming back, but if you're looking for a fleshed out or comprehensive real-time strategy experience, you'll be sorely disappointed. The pros are courtroom gameplay is fun, compelling story, fantastic visual and musics. The cons are a false sense of choice, a lack of clarity in directions, boring, bare-bones real-time strategy gameplay, no French accents, and mediocre voice acting, and it overstays its welcome. So, yeah, I would maybe play this game if it's real cheap, but no major hype on that. Even though a French Revolution based game is something quite unique. Like, you don't see too many of those come out in a year. GameIndustry.biz has the same article. Electronic Arts closes Japan office as part of the mass layoff update. The Russian division also appears to be shuttered, with operations moving to larger regional offices. TechRaptor has an article here. Divinity Fallen Heroes is the next game from Larian Studios. Looks interesting. Divinity series is one of those series I have yet to really figure out whether I want to play it or not. There's a trailer here. I guess that's pretty much all there is to say about it, other than, yeah, personally I need to figure out whether I want to, whether I'm interested in the Divinity series or not. There's about 3 or 4 fantasy-based games out there, and I get them all confused. Divinity's animations seem a little bit less polished than I would have expected, but they don't look. They look more like a cell phone game, frankly, than a AAA looking game. Let's see, spell damage. Can I do that? Do that first.
Job's done.
Yeah. It seems like the 3D animations are secondary to just a top-down strategy gameplay of some sort. I don't know if it's turn-based or real-time strategy. And because of that, the 3D animations don't seem like they are really the main focus. And it's a tactical RPG is what they're saying it is, according to the article. TechRaptor had an article. It's kind of pointless now. The Morrowind was free this weekend as part of the Elder Scrolls 25th anniversary celebration, but that would have been through the Bethesda launcher, so you could have gotten it, sure, but not on a launcher you really want to use. And you probably couldn't have gotten it anyways, because it was such a bad.
What does the future hold?
Oh man. So the rest of these are all games that I left on Monday. So these aren't even games that we need to talk about again. So before I look at the Humble Bundle, I'm going to look at my Twitter feed and see if there's anything more to do here. Let's see. If I could do this and this, that'd probably be nice. And see, I can just poison that. Get rid of that. So yeah, I'm coming back to my Twitter feed, seeing if there's any new tweets, seeing if there's anything. YouTube creators 4 minutes ago welcoming back somebody who hasn't posted in over a year, and she's like a music video maker, so yeah. YouTube's still crazy stupid about how they pander to people they shouldn't be pandering to. Let's see.
Spider senses tingling.
Let's see. else? What else? Is there anything else new? We have a game called Shop Manager Video Game Tycoon on Steam. That's garbage. We have a game called The Color of Roses. That's probably garbage. I'm just gonna have to kind of silently sort through all of this. Deal 2 damage and 1 to the adjacent ones. Victory! Oh my goodness. That is, I believe, the first victory in 3 hours. I do believe that is the first victory in 3 hours. And yeah, I don't have any new tweets either. So, yeah, nothing is happening in the news that's that big of a deal. 20, 60, pack earned, 10 gold. Let's open this hard-earned pack. Oh man, what a terrible day. And we're on the European account, so I think we're just gonna switch over to the Asian account and show it off. Show off what the daily quests are. We have daily quests also on the Americas account that need to be done, including the Tavern Brawl. And it's kind of weird because I even played on my secondary account just because I was bored one night, and that amount of gameplay I'm now regretting because of just how much I'm spending here. So while that's happening, we have this game on Steam, Shop Manager Video Game Tycoon. It looks like a very low effort game, and I still stick by my opinion that games where you're doing a job are not fun games. They want $6.79 discounted for this. Yeah, right? Oops. So, re-roll this, and so I'd have to play Druid on this Tavern Brawl and get that victory. I only need to get 2 of these done, so I really don't need to do the Pirates one. Next we have a game on Steam here called The Color of Roses, which is just a RPG Maker game. At least it's widescreen, but that's about all I can say that's nice about it. $6.79 discounted. That's way too expensive. And alright, well then that just puts me on the Humble Bundle store. Like, I'm not going to get into a game here. So, let's see where we are. The Hot Date Bundle is going on. So, if you pay $1, you will get a Steam key for Creature Romance, Kono Kokoro, which was rated very positively. I haven't heard of it. Highway Blossoms. So these are probably all going to be adult-oriented romance visual novels. And Just Desserts, which again has a Steam key. You have to. It fades into the background. If you pay more than the average of $9.56, you'll get Lady Killer in a Bind, which I don't believe I owned, and Perfect Date, which I think means you'd be dating cats. If this had Dad, the Dream Daddy Dad Simulator game, that was on sale earlier, just a few days ago, so that would be a bad bundling. And you'll get Digital Devolver's Genital Jousting, which is not a visual novel game, but it does have genitals jousting each other, so it's in the same general idea. If you pay $10 or more, you get Ji Senjo no Masu Ma'ao, the Devil on G String Voiced Edition, and you get the Sunrider collection. This one doesn't say it's rated. I've never heard of these two, so you're kind of going high at that point to pay $10. But since the average is already $9.56, why not jump a little bit higher? And if you pay $15 more dollars, you get Clannad. Clannad being probably the best visual novel ever. This is probably your best bet, frankly. Get this for basically the same price you'd pay anyways, because it's never going to really go on sale, and then get the other games just for free. Let's see. And then there's some discounts you would also get. Then you can pick whatever charity you want. Let's see, what was the other bundle? There's a Coder's Bookshelf bundle, the Humble Monthly bundle, and the Curve bundle we've already talked about. Let's look at the Humble Monthly bundle. Let's see. That one you have to subscribe for $12 a month. And some of these games I think I already own. It would be really nice if somebody would gift me the codes through Twitter direct message for the Hot Date bundle at the $15 level. That would be a great way to support me, and while also supporting a charity. That would be really nice. It's also a great way, I would say, for people to support the creation of adult video games for adults, while not particularly being interested in visual novels yourself. Why not buy it and donate to a charity, and just think of it as, oh, I'm donating to a charity, and while I'm at it, I'm giving away the code to a YouTuber that entertains me, hopefully. The Curvy bundle, I think this one, yeah, I think I might need to do some research and buy this bundle too. I'm not sure if I need to go above the $1 mark, but if I went up to the $15 mark, I'd get Bomber Crew. And that's usually how these bundles work, is that there's at least one game that maybe is worth it at $15, although I'd say Clannad is much more worth it at $15 than Bomber Crew is. But you're also getting For the King. Depends on whether you really want those games or not. Meanwhile, on Hearthstone, I am just in this horrible position. Like, I've got to get a Tavern Brawl on the Asian account successfully. I have to win on that. I have to win on the Americas account. I also have like 2 victories with a rogue or warrior on the Americas account I need to get, and I have theoretically either 6 pirates or 3 victories with a druid or a hunter that I need to play June. So I'm looking at probably at least 5, if not 6 victories that I'm gonna have to find, and I'm just gonna do it all off screen because this has been way too long. We've gone through all the news, and I'm going to start screaming out loud in a minute. I'm just joking about that, of course. But yeah, I'm not going to have anything positive or upbeat to say if I keep banging my head against Hearthstone. It's been a long time since we've had a really, really bad day on Hearthstone, but when they come, they hit hard. That's it for this stream. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend to follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. And if you want to support me even further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.